Exodus beginnings, slavery, Moses' birth, flight, and the burning bush. The story of Israel's slavery. Long after Joseph died, a new king came to power in Egypt who did not know Joseph. He looked at the growing Israelite families and felt afraid. If they grow stronger, they might join our enemies, he said, and so he decided to control them. The Egyptians forced the Israelites into hard labor. Men and women bent under the hot sun, making bricks and building store cities like Pithom and Ramesses. Taskmasters shouted orders. Tired hands shaped clay and carried heavy loads. The people's lives became work from dawn to dusk. But even under heavy burden, the Israelites kept growing in number. That frightened Pharaoh more. He gave an order to 2 Hebrew midwives, Shiphrah and Puah. If a baby boy was born, kill him. The midwives feared God more than the king. When the Egyptians asked why they let the boys live, they answered simply, "The Hebrew women are strong and give birth before we arrive." Because they showed courage and faith, God blessed them. Pharaoh then commanded all his people to throw every newborn Hebrew boy into the Nile while letting the girls live. Mothers trembled and prayed, yet the people continued to multiply and grow stronger. This dark season showed cruelty and fear, but also quiet courage. Even in chains, faith and small acts of obedience kept hope alive and set the stage for God's greater plan to rescue his people. The birth of Moses. A Hebrew woman gave birth to a son in a time of danger. Pharaoh had ordered that every newborn Hebrew boy be killed, so she hid her baby close to her for 3 quiet months. When she could no longer keep him hidden, she made a small waterproof basket, lined it with soft cloths, and prayed as she placed him among the tall reeds on the riverbank. At dawn, the basket drifted near the palace shore where Pharaoh's daughter had come to bathe. She found the crying child and felt deep compassion. Though she knew he was one of the Hebrews, her heart moved her to rescue him. The princess took the baby and decided to raise him as her own. Watching nearby was the child's sister, brave and quick-thinking. She stepped forward and offered to find a Hebrew woman to nurse the baby. Pharaoh's daughter agreed, and the girl brought her mother. For a time, the baby was fed and cared for by his own mother, and then later he was returned to the princess, who named him Moses, drawn out of the water. This small, tender story shows courage, mercy, and God's quiet protection. A mother's love, a sister's bravery, and a princess's compassion together saved a life that would one day lead a nation. Moses on the run. Escape to Midian. Moses grew into a man and remembered the suffering of his people. One day he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, and in anger, Moses stepped in to stop it. A struggle followed, and the Egyptian was killed. When word spread, Moses learned his deed was known and feared for his life. At night, he slipped away from Egypt and walked through the desert, alone and afraid. He traveled until he reached the land of Midian, where the hills were quiet and the well water ran cool. At a common well, he saw local shepherds driving away Jethro's daughters as they tried to draw water for their flock. Moses could not stand by. He stepped forward, defended the girls, and frightened the rough shepherds away. The daughters ran to their father and told him what had happened. Jethro welcomed Moses, gave him food and shelter, and offered him work tending the flocks. Moses stayed in Midian. He married Zipporah, one of Jethro's daughters, and began a new life as a shepherd. In these quiet years, he learned patience and care, serving others, tending sheep, and living away from the power and danger of Egypt. What began as a rash act led Moses into exile, but in Midian he found refuge, kindness, and a season of preparation. God used a moment of consequence to shape a leader, reminding us that even when mistakes push us away, God can meet us and prepare us for what comes next. Moses and the burning bush. Moses was tending Jethro's flock on Horeb when he saw something strange, a bush on fire that did not burn up. He stepped closer, curious and cautious. From the flame, a voice called his name. "Remove your sandals," the voice said. "This ground is holy. I have seen my people suffer in Egypt. I will send you to Pharaoh to lead them out." Moses was shocked and afraid. "Who am I to do this?" he asked. He worried the people would not believe him and that he was not able. God answered with patient words, "I will be with you." Then God gave Moses signs, a staff that became a serpent and then returned to a staff, and a hand that showed a strange mark and was healed. Signs to show God's power. Still Moses hesitated. "They will ask for your name," he said. God replied, "Tell them I am sent you." Moses worried about his speech. God answered again, "Aaron, your brother, will be your spokesman and will go with you." God promised to guide their words and to act by his power. Moses listened, trembling but obedient. He took off his sandals, touched the holy ground, accepted the staff, and prepared to go. Though he felt small and uncertain, God's presence and promise changed his fear into a calling. This is a story of a simple shepherd meeting a holy God. It shows that God can call ordinary people for extraordinary work, and that he equips those he sends. When we feel unready or afraid, God's presence and promise are the reason we can step forward.